Hi everyone, thanks for joining us for another informative edition through the pages of Jamaica Magazine. I am your host, Theodore Henry. Coming up, updates on government's COVID-19 comprehensive response measures, plus local entrepreneurs in the business of making peanut butter, and young people tackling their smoking habits. All these and more interesting features are in this half hour, so sit back and relax.
The Ministry of Labour and Social Security wishes to advise PATH beneficiaries that the June payment cycle will begin on Monday, June 22 and not June 15 as expected. The Ministry sincerely regrets this delay and apologises for any inconvenience caused.
And now for some major stories inside our GOJ News Roundup segment.
Prime Minister, the Most Honourable Andrew Holness, broke ground on Wednesday this week for the $9.5 billion Catherine Estates housing development in Dunbeholden, St. Catherine. This will provide 1,650 affordable housing solutions comprising 850 duplex studio units and 800 detached one-bedroom starter homes with areas for expansion.
My objective is to make sure that every little Jamaican man who born and grow in a one-bedroom board house can have his opportunity as well. So whether it is to own land or we build out communities like this, that is the objective.
The project is spearheaded by the Housing Agency of Jamaica, HAJ, under a joint venture partnership with China Harbour Engineering Company, CHEC. The National Housing Trust, NHT, is providing 100% financing for the housing development, scheduled to be done in 24 clusters through 6 phases of development within 54 months.
The direction that has been given is that we must not just build 4 walls and a slab on top. We must seek to build communities.
Each cluster will have essential community amenities such as sidewalks, grocery stores, recreational spaces, and easy access to public transportation. The new Minister of Labour and Social Security, Mike Henry, took up his appointment on Thursday this week. Mr. Henry, who was previously Minister without Portfolio in the Office of the Prime Minister, replaces Shaheen Robinson, who died recently. Meanwhile, Carl Samuda has been elevated to Minister of Education, Youth and Information. He was previously assigned as Minister without Portfolio with oversight for that ministry. Prime Minister Andrew Holness made the announcements this week.
We can now have the ministry being fully run by a Minister of Education who will be overseeing everything. So I'm here today saying that Minister Samuda is now not the Minister without Portfolio, but after today he will be the Minister of Education.
Come mid-July, the Ministry of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries will break ground for the Southern Plain Agricultural Development Project to cost £17.5 million. The project aims to develop irrigation infrastructure on 795 hectares of land in St. Catherine and Clarendon. It will also involve work to improve flood control systems, drainage and farm roads. The project is being financed through a grant from the United Kingdom Caribbean Infrastructure Fund, administered by the Caribbean Development Bank.
Long before the occurrence of COVID-19, my ministry recognized the vulnerability of Jamaican industries and livelihoods to the impact of climate change. Those challenges will not go away, and so we will continue to pursue the climate-smart agenda during this fiscal year.
Meanwhile, the Agriculture Ministry has allocated $10 million under its Production Incentive Program to stimulate increased production. The money is to procure seeds, water tanks, fertilizers and chemicals, as well as planting material to produce sweet yam and cassava. Minister without Portfolio J.C. Hutchinson announced the allocation during a recent ceremony to hand over seeds, chemicals and fertilizers to farmers at Dunkeld Church of God Seventh-day in St. Catherine. They were being donated by input suppliers Hardware and Lumber Agro and Newport First and Jamaica Limited. The governments of Jamaica and Japan have signed a grant agreement for approximately $262 million to purchase medical equipment and supplies for fighting the COVID-19 pandemic.
The public health facilities across Jamaica, with the proceeds of this grant, will be able to procure medical equipment that will allow for the treatment of cases. And the medical equipment consists of 9 bedside X-ray machines, 9 B2 portable ultrasound scanners, 9 B4 bedside monitors, and 6 B6 defibrillators. In addition, 9 units of a D6 X-ray protection screen and 18 units of D7 X-ray protection apron. We're very grateful to the government and the people of Japan for this grant.
The universal goal of the government of Japan is to enable all the people in the world to enjoy greater opportunities offered by a safe and secure environment. And that is why we stand together with other international development partners and the international community.
The grant is being provided through the Japanese government's Economic and Social Development Program. In other news, a state of public emergency SOE was declared by Prime Minister Andrew Holness on Sunday, June 14, in the Kingston Western and Kingston Central Police Divisions. The enhanced security measure will initially last for 14 days and is a response to increased criminal activity in the divisions. A proclamation to this effect was signed by Governor General Sir Patrick Allen.
This will connect the states of public emergency existing in the Kingston East and St. Andrews South police divisions, creating an effective security corridor along the waterfront from Bull Bay in the east to Ferry in the west. These areas, if left unchecked, have shown historically that they can spiral to chaotic ends, even having national disruptive impact.
To properly carry out a hand rub, apply a palmful of the product in your cupped hand, covering all surfaces. Rub your hands palm to palm. Rub your right palm over the back of your left hand with interlaced fingers and vice versa. Rub your hands palm to palm with fingers interlaced. Rub the back of your fingers to opposing palms with fingers interlocked. Rotationally rub backwards and forwards the clasped fingers of your right hand in your left palm and vice versa. Once your hands are dry, they are now safe.
Government is promoting investment in value-added production to expand and grow the economy, citing agro-processing as one way for primary producers to earn higher income. Small entrepreneurs are grasping the opportunity for adding value to farm produce, as you'll see in this next feature on peanut butter processing.
Jamaica has its own peanut spread, farmed and manufactured in the central hills of the island. You may have it creamy or chunky with your bread and biscuits, or even straight from the jar by itself.
We are the Jamaican Peanut Butter Factory. We use 100% Jamaican peanuts as well as Jamaican honey. Right? One of our mottos is very simple ingredients, but fantastic peanut butter. And we use only 4 ingredients as opposed to a lot of the import peanut butter. Uses numerous chemicals and preservatives that we should not be consuming. We use 100% Jamaican peanuts as well as 100% Jamaican honey to sweeten it, and then organic coconut oil and sea salt. As far as our peanuts go, they come from St. Elizabeth, and so we are committed to supporting Jamaican farmers, and we've been told that Jamaicans grow the best tasting peanuts in the world, and our goal is to make the best peanut butter in the world. I worked with a natural peanut butter in the States. One of my goals was to come down here and to help facilitate small business development. And when we came down here and I saw that there was no Jamaican peanut butter on the market, and I saw that the current prices for import peanut butter, I realized that there was an opportunity in the market for a high quality, locally sourced peanut butter. Support Jamaica, buy Jamaican. We currently offer Original, which is more of a creamy style. but the original has a slight texture to it. So we like to say it's kind of like a homemade style. And then we also do a chunky as well, which has whole peanuts in it. And we currently offer it at John R. Wong's, as well as it's going to be in Lethusian's, and it is the health food stores on Barbican and Orchid Plaza. If you purchase 2 jars directly from us, we can deliver right to your location.
An important message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness. What to do if you think you have been exposed or are experiencing signs and symptoms of COVID-19. Immediately call 888-1-LOVE. That's 888-663-5683. In addition, you should stay at home. Don't go to work, school, or any public place. Do not use public transport, and avoid visitors to your home. You may need to do this for up to 14 days to reduce the spread of the infection. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Jamaica is mourning the passing of the late sitting Minister of Labour and Social Security, Shaheen Robinson, who died on Friday, May 29. Our next feature highlights some key aspects of her political career, as well as tributes from colleagues and friends in celebration of her life and work. Take a look.
Shaheen Elizabeth Fakuri Robinson was born on July 4, 1953, to parents Peter and Kathleen Fakuri. She grew up in the community of Claremont St. Anne.
Our family from Claremont is pretty, I don't know, I always thought it was big, but it's not. As a child, I thought it was big because there were her and my other 2 aunts and my father and my uncle. So there were 5 of them, but there had originally been 6 of them, but their sister Nahil, she had passed away she was like 10 years old. So that was before my generation was even thought to be in existence. But I thought with 5 in that generation plus my grandmother, I always thought, wow, it's so big, because then I had all the cousins and the sisters and the brothers and everything. And it just seemed like a big family,
Mrs. Robinson graduated from the Immaculate Conception High School and went on to Miami-Dade College in the United States, where she earned an associate degree in marketing and a diploma in public relations. Her upbringing and education would eventually translate into a life of public service. Shaheen Robinson came to national prominence in 2001 after she won the by-election for the Northeast St. Anne constituency. For the next 19 years, she would continue to represent the people and the Jamaica Labour Party as the constituency's Member of Parliament.
She was a mother as well as an aunt. She takes care of everybody, not just her nieces and nephews, who were Peter, Paolo, Bianca, Brianna, and myself. Her constituency, like when you go into her constituency, a lot of the people, like, the rough and tough guys, most of them, Mama, wagwan, so it's like everybody saw her in that way.
Having secured her place in the nation's legislature, Mrs. Robinson would also offer her services in the executive arm of government. In 2007, she was appointed Minister of State in the Office of the Prime Minister with responsibility for local government. 4 years later, in 2011, she was promoted to Minister without Portfolio with responsibility for local government in the Ministry of Housing, Environment, Water and Local Government. Another promotion would follow in March 2016 when Mrs. Robinson was sworn in as Minister of Labour and Social Security after the JLP's victory in the general election held a month earlier. She was only the 2nd female minister to hold the combined portfolios of Labour and Social Security, following the Most Honourable Portia Simpson Miller, who served from 1989 to 1993. Prior to that, the Honourable Mavis Gilmore was Minister of Social Security and Consumer Affairs for 1 year, between 1988 and 1989. During her tenure as Minister of Labour and Social Security, Mrs. Robinson oversaw the continued improvement of facilities and the modernisation of systems for the ministry. These were designed to ensure her ministry fulfilled its mandate to safeguard dignity in work, social protection, human capital development, and inclusive sustainable job creation. Minister Robinson was a firm believer in labour market reform and was a keen advocate for ensuring a safer work environment for all Jamaican employees under the new occupational health and safety legislation. The country recorded significant progress during her oversight of the portfolio. In a cohesive effort with other departments of government, her tenure witnessed thousands of jobs being created as the construction industry and business process outsourcing sector grew. She also continued to seek employment opportunities for Jamaicans overseas and championed their rights in the process. On Friday, May 29, 2020, word came that the sitting Minister of Labour and Social Security public servant, the Honourable Shaheen Robinson, had died. She was 66 years old.
We're going to remember her by her kindness to people and her capacity to love. So we try our best to live our lives that way anyway, but nobody can fill her shoes. There's no replacement for her. But I mean, that's the best way we can honor her legacy, is by being kind to people as well and exhibiting the same love that she did. She fiercely loved her family. She made all of us feel very special. She also disagreed with us passionately when she was ready, but she never made us forget that she loved us. So, like, even if we had any sort of a fight or anything like that, she's like the first one coming to friend you back up. And she knew, she was so like in tune to everybody and their different personalities that like she knew what it took to friend up each person individually. So like she knew what to do. Like, so it was just like you couldn't stay mad at her. And you know, you just felt like everybody wanted her attention all the time, and everybody gave her attention all the time, you know, because she was just one of those people who, I don't know, I've never met anybody else like her.
Friends, colleagues, and associates have since hailed her as one who made a marked impact, personally and professionally. Her steadfast commitment to serving the people earned her glowing accolades, such as the rarest of politicians and champion of the poor and vulnerable.
I had the opportunity to address the ILO, and she accompanied me, and she was well regarded amongst labor ministers internationally and by the ILO directly. Mr. Speaker, she worked very closely with the trade union movement, and her approach, her conciliatory style, her soft words, her understanding posture would have contributed, Mr. Speaker, to maintaining the industrial harmony and peace which Jamaica has enjoyed for more than a decade. Her unassuming and humble demeanor and her endearing smile belied the Talawa of Nani and the deep love and genuine motherly care of Mother Teresa. She lived her sage words and would often say, if you don't go into politics to serve, it doesn't make any sense. You have to want to serve the people to make a difference in the lives of the people. Shaheen truly inspired me with her belief that if you go through life and you are not helping people, then life is not worth living. She would also say it's a sin to say no when you can say yes. And I've witnessed that firsthand, Mr. Speaker. I've witnessed it in not just the care and love for her constituents, but the care and love for her family.
Despite the interests which diverge and which separate us, we can pursue these interests in keeping with the highest traditions of respect for each other and for the country and the parliament which we serve. Her example is worthy of emulation across the generations.
Because of her commitment to the process of governance and the taking of her responsibility seriously, she came here in a state of ill health and presented her budget presentation in this house.
A person who always tried to help the poor, who extended herself in so many ways. She was always available to young persons. She was always willing to help the party when called upon and even when not called upon. She was legendary and well known for her work in by-elections. She was one of the first to turn up and one of the last to leave. She mentored others. She extended her love to everybody, and persons from both sides of the fence have good things to say about Shaheen Elizabeth.
Shaheen reminds me of that verse in the book of Micah, chapter 6, verse 8. It says, "He has shown you, O man, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? To act justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with thy God." That was Shaheen Robinson.
Mrs. Robinson is survived by her siblings, Rosemary Eleanor, June Prendergast, and Paul Fakuri, as well as her nieces and nephew, Gianna, Melinda, Bianca, Brianna, Peter, and Paolo.
June is Road Safety Month, so as we shift focus now to that observation, here's a reminder that traffic lights play a crucial role in regulating the movement of vehicles and ensuring road safety. Let's take a look at the technology behind modern traffic lights and how the system operates to make our roads safer.
Traffic signal, as we refer to it as, it's a system of electronic controls that we use to assist in managing traffic at particular locations along our corridors. In managing the flow, there's a system. We have mast arms. We have the signal heads. The signal heads are what you see, the lights, whether green, amber, or red. We have wires that are connected to a control box. The control box has a number of components that assist us in managing the flows through the intersection or junction. Now, before we actually signalize an intersection or junction, we do traffic counts, so we know where it is the bulk of the vehicles are coming from or they're heading to. You want to have that information so that in setting the timings, in rehearsing the timings for persons to go through, you know what amount of green time you're going to be giving to a particular phase of the intersection as opposed to another. Our traffic signals, the systems are on a fiber optic network that is actually right across the country. So we have a combination of fiber and microwave links that we're using to roll out what we call a public safety network. And the systems that we have been incorporating our camera systems with these. And so we're able to monitor traffic through our traffic management center that we have at the corporate office 140 Maxfield Avenue. And it gives us the ability to change the timings that we have at these locations remotely. In other words, we don't have to have our officers physically going to the location, changing the timings.
In the Traffic Management Center, we have something called QuickNet. So in present day right now, this is what we use to remotely manage all traffic lights. What you're seeing on the screen now is a virtual display of what is in the cabinet at the intersection via our traffic camera. At the first display, you can see this is our Model 170 controller. This is what we use as a standard in Kingston. So right now you can see all the visual displays. This is what exactly you see in a traffic cabinet. Beside it, you see a graphical representation of what is happening at the stoplight. So at the cameras, you can see two through movements and a turning movement, moving from green to amber to red. And now you can see the turning movement start. So you can see two turning movements and a left turning movement happening right now, as well as a forward turning movement at the next part of the intersection. So the graphic can show you the plan, the status, the cycle length, offset values, traffic statistics. So using this, you can see if the stoplight is working efficiently or not. So this will tell us if the stoplight is down, off, in any problem or whatever. So before people have to call and report a stoplight is down, with this system, when everything is integrated, you won't have to. You automatically know. What you're seeing now on the screen is a viewing of Halfway Tree area, the Kingston metropolitan area, where we can now monitor traffic remotely. So before, to put up our traffic lights, somebody would have to go months prior and record the traffic data to put up a signal. Now we can have somebody here remotely counting traffic, as well as several different other specialized cameras to count the traffic for us. So specifically, we can look at specific intersections, say for this one example. If we see the traffic is building up, we can allot more time to a specific intersection to allow the through traffic to flow.
We have well over 100 locations across the country where we have signals, and the number continues to grow because every year we look at new locations to signalize. The demand is quite high, and the demand grows with the numbers of vehicles that we are seeing on our roads.
We've come to the end of today's journey through the pages of Jamaica Magazine. Be sure to join us again tomorrow for another informative edition. Until then, continue to watch these and other programs by logging on to our website jis.gov.jm or subscribing to our YouTube channel. You may also find us on all the major social media platforms and through our mobile app that's Android and iOS compatible. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Theodore Henry, urging you to stay COVID-19 free.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.